Relke.
Here.
Rostad.
Here.
I acknowledge this meeting was posted and noticed according to law.
Thank you. First item on the agenda is to approve tonight's agenda.
So move.
Okay. Second. I have a motion from Alder Rostad and a second from Alder Motive. Any discussion? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. At this time, we will take citizen comments. First name I have on the list is David Stira. If you'll please come up to the podium, state your name and address. And then I'll ask you to turn the mic. Oh, there you go. You got it.
Oh, yeah, sorry, I'm trying to time myself so I don't get buzzed. All right, great. Dave Steer, 551 West Harrison Street. Let's just dive right in. This developers agreement is rushed and full of questions that need to be answered before a positive vote. So let's dive right in. Section C, all future references to the municipal engineer shall also include the right to designate entities and/or individuals to act in the municipal engineer's place. Does this mean the developer gets to designate people to act as the municipal engineer and effectively function as their own regulator? Seems like something that should be in writing, yes or no. Section M, city will be solely responsible for maintenance of outlots 1 and 2, which are for stormwater mitigation. Why? They're getting this for $1. Like, why is the taxpayer paying for that? Section O, developer represents that the project will add approximately $10 million of value to the property. There's not 1 ounce of math in the public record that says where $10 million came from. It seems to be a really high number. Section O, also there, municipality further represents that there are certain TIF eligible expenses which municipality is willing to reimburse to developer. Which expenses, how much, why is this not in writing explicitly? Otherwise, it's just a blank check. This developers agreement is half-baked and certainly should not be making its way all the way from closed session to common council over the course of 2 weeks. Well, let's set that aside for now. I will take a deep breath and calm down a little bit. Let's talk about some numbers. Over the last year and a half, citizens of Columbus took time out of their lives to come before this council 37 times. 37. Of those times, 3 times people were in favor of development. 3. The rest of the time, people were in favor of preserving a historic landmark. Another number for you. Our Save Dingy campaign has 270 address-verified Columbus residents on it. That number may not sound like a lot, but when you compare it to the number of voters in the last aldermanic election of 1,000, that's a quarter of the electorate. Do we really want to thumb our nose at them and say, we know better? People do not want this development. Now, I can't speak for all the Save Dingy supporters, but I can speak for myself, and I am by no means an opponent of development in Columbus. All right, the problem we have is that we've become so fixated on this 7.5 acres, this farm, that we've lost sight of the bigger picture, right? What are we doing to get developers to build on land that doesn't require raising a community icon? The city engineer got in front of the council in December, right? And he stated that there were 121 parcels totaling over 1,000 acres already within city limits that were either underdeveloped or undeveloped. Can we honestly say that we've talked to all 121 of those landowners and every single one has told us to pack sand? It seems like something we should do before we decided to raise a historic farm forever, right? The city staff's at your disposal. If you tell them to find a way to get us developers in here without bulldozing a community landmark, like that's their job. And we have a lot of competent people who work for the city, right? Plain and simple, put them to work and come up with a better plan than this one. And if you don't like the plan that Brian and I came up with, that's fine. But let's find a way to keep the farm intact and move on from this in a way that brings developers here, but also keeps the landmark that every single one of us drives by when we come off 151 going north. That's all I got. Thanks.
Next name is Katerina Stier.
Hello, my name is Katerina Stier. I am from 559 North Spring Street, and I'll get straight to the point. I am opposed to the developer's proposal for the Dingy Farm. I want the city to find a way to preserve the farm rather than destroy it. I ask the city council again to please reflect on your decision. The people of Columbus voted for you to represent us. So think very carefully of your actions. Again, I was told by one of the alders that he will be fair and consistent during his term. So please understand why the people voted for you. I'm not against apartments in Columbus. What I am against is demolishing this historical and beautiful farmstead. Preserve the whole farm, not just the farmhouse. There is potential in saving the farm. I'll be fair and consistent, so what I ask of the city is to please think and plan very carefully. Thank you.
At this time, that is all the names that were on the sign-up sheet, although I do recognize that a couple people wandered in after this was already up here. So if there's anybody left who wanted, Kelly?
Kelly Crombie, 641 North Ludington Street. First of all, I think, as a student of Columbus history for the last 40 years of my life, you look at the books that the Columbus Historic Landmarks and Preservation Commission has published over the years of historic properties in the city, and the Dingy Farm does not appear in any of those iterations of those books over the years. Second of all, on the agenda for tonight, we have for the regular meeting, which ties into this topic, we have a budget amendment for a budget amendment to reset the base for the state expenditure restraint program. And I think that budget amendment with a fictitious number that, from what I read on Daily Dodge, doesn't appear as though it likely would be spent money, but is being used to reset the base for expenditure restraint, I think shows the depth of the city's financial problems and the need for growth. And the Lamps Landing LLC proposal delivers significant growth to the city, and so I think it would be incumbent on the city council to approve the development agreement that is before the council tonight, and I will yield back the balance of my time. Thank you.
And then, sorry, I think there was one other hand.
Ben Sweatmore, 448 West Mill Street. I'd like to first start off tonight by making everyone think. Why do you think a lot of people come to Columbus in the first place? Well, there's probably differing answers, all true to this question. But I think I've come up with one of the major reasons many choose to live here in the first place. And that is a result of our beautiful history and preserved structures which stand as great testaments of humanity's ingenuity and architectural genius. The more of this that you deprive us of, the more I bet a good portion of people will decide, maybe I don't want to live somewhere like this. Let's look elsewhere instead. Why do you think Johnny Depp and crew came to film here for Public Enemies in 2008? The history, that's why. I bet that film brought a lot of tourism and revenue to the city and benefited Columbus as a whole. The fact of the matter is, the more history that is taken away from us, the worse off Columbus will be decades to come in many regards. If we keep stripping away our history like this, what are the chances that such things as a celebrity coming to Columbus to film a big budget action film will ever happen again? Or anything of the sort that brings tourism and helps city revenue? The chances are slim, but the Dingy Farm has the ability to do just that. Not on as large of a scale as a Johnny Depp sighting, of course, but it can bring tourism to the city in the form of farm tours and, of course, the event venue idea for weddings, outdoor parties, etc. Barn venues are very attractive these days, and we have a whole ensemble here. We only have one other large party venue, the Pavilion, and if Columbus is to begin mass expansion, then we are desperately in need of another large event venue, and the Dingy Farm is our best candidate for that. This is an action that, if taken, will lead to the destruction of not only Columbus's last farmstead, but one of the most historically rich properties in Columbus. It's been stated that demolition alone will cost at least $500,000. That's $500,000. And considering the city purchased a property for $560,000, that's just an insane number for demolition alone. This is going to be a costly project that is going to cost far more than it would have if it had been done at a more suitable location that wouldn't have been detrimental to the city's history. The outbuildings are in a bad state, the large barn being the worst. No one denies that, but is still far away from being unsavable. Barns in worse conditions than these have been saved before, It would bring far more people from surrounding communities to visit Columbus and help boost revenue if we were to restore and preserve the site instead of tearing it down. I remember mentionings in the last meeting of ongoing negotiations with the owner of the field just past the hospital, literally where the borderline of Columbus is. Pursue that. It's a much better place for such developments. We don't even know where the driveways or anything would fit into the dingy property, and it just seems like a bad and rushed decision to put a development there. Better opportunities will present themselves in good time. Mr. Mayor, you said yourself on the recent WKOW interview that you are listening to all sides of this argument. I hope tonight that you will show us that you mean that by siding with the majority of your constituents who want this property saved. That is all.
Is there anybody else who did not get a chance to sign up who wanted to speak during citizen comments for the special committee of the whole meeting? Okay. Next item on the agenda then is to discuss the development agreement between the City of Columbus and Lamps Landing LLC for the development of 1400 Park Avenue. Alder Finkler?
Before we get in discussing the developers agreement, I would like us to talk through first how we do not have to go to a normal committee of the whole meeting and then go to a normal council meeting. So I would envision this to have gone to a COW tonight and council in 2 weeks, according to ordinance 2-41.
This is a normal COW meeting right now. You're in it. This is a called committee of the whole meeting. There's nothing else that has to be normal in order for the meeting to be valid. The ordinance says that all matters must first go to the committee of the whole before they go to the council. That's all the ordinance says. The ordinance does not define all matters. This matter has been before the committee of the whole on numerous occasions in the past. The development agreement itself may not have been in your hands at a committee of the whole meeting in the past, but the terms of the development agreement have certainly been discussed in various forums at the committee of the whole, and they're going to be discussed right now if you so choose. So everything that is being done as far as process is consistent with your ordinances.
Even the 3 business days before the next scheduled committee of the whole?
That is not a requirement.
I have the ordinance up.
Well, okay, Molly. 2-41 doesn't say anything about 3 business days, I don't believe.
At least 3 business days before day of next scheduled committee of the whole meeting. It's at the end of A. I can read the whole A if you would like me
Well,
to.
I'm going to go back to what I said before in that the ordinance says all matters, correct?
Including without limitation, ordinances, resolutions, and reports shall be submitted to the committee of whole for review and comment before being placed on the council agenda. Common council members desiring to introduce matters shall give written documentation thereof to the mayor, city administrator, or clerk at least 3 business days before the day of the next scheduled committee of the whole meeting.
That second part has absolutely nothing to do with the first part that you're bringing up right now.
I asked for it to come to committee of the whole, and that was not 3 business days ago.
Well, that's what you did. This is a properly agended item for conversation tonight. It can be discussed, it can be acted on, however the will of the council wants to do that. So we're now ready to move forward.
I do not feel comfortable with this, so my vote is it goes to next council.
Alder Motif?
I just wanted to make one note on a quick change. On the last page, page 17, Joseph Hammer is mayor, not president.
Any other questions, comments?
For the items that are outlined as exhibits 1 through 8, because,
What page is that?
I'm sorry, page 2,
Page 2.
page 2. So, yeah, 1 through 8 there. Since many of these don't exist, do we have something that specifies how they would be approved?
Yes. The preliminary and final plats of Cardinal Heights will be brought before the Plan Commission and the council under the normal process of plat review and plat creation. There's a very specific process that will be followed, and the city council will have the final vote on the approval of both the preliminary and the final plat. The project plans will be reviewed by the city engineer and generally do not come before the council except in conjunction with the plat. They'll be available as part of the plat review if you need to look at them. Plans and specifications are the same way. The covenants and restrictions will be reviewed by me and then will be brought before the council to be approved by council. The grading plan is an engineering task. The address plan is a city clerk task. And the surety is a city attorney task that is also something that will come before the council for approval. And the tax increment projection worksheets is a city administrator economic development task. So these will all be put together to be very frank and honest, under normal development agreement procedures, all of these documents would be in your hand before you approve the development agreement. That is true. So these are going to be brought before you as time goes on.
Do we know if Lamps plans to build any homes on the empty lots?
The initial discussions with the developer indicated that they would be initially focused on the apartment unit, and I believe intends to start 6 homes at the same time, so that they would, I think I'm remembering the numbers right, Mike can verify, but the plan was of the apartment building and 6 of the 15 homes.
So the other lots that potentially they would sell to interested parties, potentially other developers?
I believe that is the intent, yes.
Okay.
Any further questions or comments?
Sorry, one
Oh,
more.
go ahead.
Outlots 1 and 2, one of them, I don't know if it's 1 or 2, is the retention pond. What's the other outlot?
2 will also be a detention or retention pond, I believe.
Oh, okay. So
That
there's 2 of
is-
those.
The last conversation that I'm aware of, it was contemplated that there would be 2 for stormwater purposes.
Okay.
Any further questions? Are people comfortable moving this forward to the council for a vote?
Yes.
Okay. Alder Lawson, are you
Yes.
comfortable? Alder Rostad, are you comfortable moving it forward? Nope. No. Okay. Well, we have 3 saying yes and 2 saying no, so that is a majority to move it forward to council for a vote. And the next item on the agenda is to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We are adjourned.
And I welcome all those that are watching by cable. With that, I would entertain a roll call, please.
Finkler. Here. Hammer.
Here.
Lawson.
Here.
Motive.
Present.
Reed is excused. Relke. Here. Rostad.
Here.
Okay. And please join me with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I acknowledge this meeting was also posted and noticed according to law.
Okay, thank you. And at this time, I would entertain a motion to approve tonight's agenda.
Alder Motive will make a motion to approve tonight's agenda.
Alder Rolke will second.
Motion by Alder Motive and a second by Alder Rolke to approve tonight's agenda. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Okay, motion carries. Correspondence and communications for this meeting. Okay, thank you. Is Ben Sweatmore here? I know he spoke at the special, or did he leave? He left, okay. All right, then we will move on to the consent agenda, which is approval of the Council and Committee of the Whole minutes from May 21st, 2024. Approve the fireworks permit of Spectrum Pyrotechnics in Fireman's Park for the Columbus 4th of July celebration on July 4th, 2024, with a rain date of July 5th, 2024, and then approve picnic license for the Columbus Downtown Development Corporation for the summer concert series for June 19th of 2024, July 17th of 2024, and August 14th of 2024.
Alder Motive will make a motion to approve tonight's consent agenda.
I'll second.
Okay, a motion by Alder Motive and a second by Alder Finkler to approve tonight's consent agenda. Any discussion on this? Michael?
One question, the consent agenda doesn't specifically identify the Committee of the Whole special minutes from last time. Does it need to separately?
Are they included in the packet?
They are there.
I apologize, I just missed getting them on the agenda.
Attorney Johnson, could you make the argument that the Committee of the Whole minutes include the special Committee of the Whole as well as the Committee of the Whole? Or do we need to bring that back in the future?
I think you would be better off to bring that back in the future. Just put it on the agenda for the next meeting.
Okay. Any other further discussion? Do we need to amend that, or can we just, no? Okay.
Whatever minutes there were from the special meeting of the last Committee of the Whole can be brought forward and approved at the next meeting of the council.
Okay. So with that, if there's no further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, consent agenda approved. Next, we move on to the ordinances. So I would look for the ordinance 794-24 to create section 114-187 of the City Code of Ordinances related to HLPC appeal process. So first, I would look for a motion to suspend the rules.
Alder Rolke will move to suspend the rules on ordinance 794-24.
Second.
Okay, motion by Alder Roki and a second by Alder Finkler to suspend the rules for ordinance 794-24. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, next I will look for a motion to waive the readings of that said ordinance.
Alder Motive will make a motion to waive the readings of ordinance 794-24 to create section 114187.
Second.
Okay, a motion by Alder Motive and a second by Alder Rusted to waive the readings. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, and at that, then I would look for a motion to adopt ordinance 794-24.
I'll move to adopt ordinance 794-24.
I'll second.
Okay, motion by Alder Finkler and a second by Alder Roki to adopt ordinance 794-24. Any further discussion on this? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ordinance adopt. Okay, next is to consider and take action on the change order with Forest Landscaping regarding the 2024 street and utility improvements project. So, Jason, if you would like to just update us.
Great, thank you, Mayor. Council, before you tonight is a change order for some work that we've discussed previously as part of the street maintenance program. If you're aware, we came in and presented at a committee of whole and at a regular meeting for a bunch of repairs that we were going to move forward with. Some of this in order to get, I guess, favorable pricing. We did use our current contractor that was under contract for our capital project to give us prices which came in very good. So we were looking to amend their contract to do the street reconstruction with the additional work. Again, this money is in the maintenance budget, but it will be kind of tacked onto this project. So this change order is not for anything related to the capital project that they currently have, but this is just additional work because they have pavers in town and they can do our paving at a fair price. So this does include a couple different components. So there's some work being performed by Public Works on Chapel and Thayer. I know those were two pieces that the repaving were broke out, and I think, Ryan, you had questioned the cost was equal to both just because it was a combined cost and I split it. But we again wrapped that up into one price back again that the contractor had requested. So there shouldn't be any issue with that. There is some fire station parking lot repaving due to a patch. As a reminder, that was a borrowed capital cost that was planned anyways. So it's not part of this project, but there is a funding source for it. And then there is a small patch near Farnham Street for the Poser Clinic lateral repair last fall. And that would be a utility expense, but again, we're adding that into the project. So the total for those pieces comes to $51,827, so $51,827, which should increase the total contract cost to $1,225,571.25. What you have before you tonight is our standard change order form that kind of outlines the purpose and what's included, and then the cost adjustment that's authorized by the contractor to bring forward, recommended by me. So we'll just be looking for approval tonight and acceptance by signature. And then there was some associated maps kind of laying out those areas I discussed. So this work will all take place probably starting sometime in late July, early August. And again, that just kind of coincides with the timing of the project that we're going to have them in doing on a larger scale. So any questions related to the change order tonight?
Ryan?
So it says Public Works will remove the asphalt and add gravel and complete the restoration work. Can you elaborate on the restoration work? Because it says the contractor is responsible for the 3.5 inches of asphalt. Who's going to do the final grade?
Yeah, so essentially these are two streets, Chapel and Thayer, that do not have curb and gutter. Mm-hmm. So as we raise those up, we're just going to have to blend a little topsoil along the edge and seed it. It's a minor amount of work, but typically those things, because they're a minor amount of work, contractors will usually charge quite a bit for them. So we don't have any unit prices in our current contract. and again, not to get into details, but the way I usually bid that is by lump sum. So we just tell the contractor, you just restore everything and give us a cost for it. So we don't have an itemized way to apply it to this job. So I talked to Troy and said, hey, could Public Works come out here and do that? You'd probably save quite a bit of money because they'd put a premium on that if they had to do it. So Troy did say that he's okay with bringing in some topsoil. Again, it's a very small amount of work, and I think it would be pretty expensive if we tried to have the contractor do that, so we kind of agreed to break that out. So we're just trying to utilize the current staff, and I know they're super busy. Hopefully it stops raining someday so they have a little extra time, but that's kind of what we had talked about with Public Works, and they agreed, so.
Now, do we have a plan B if they are busy and can't get the work done to tear it out?
I don't have a plan B, but hopefully we have enough time after the paving is done to get in there and do that. I mean, it doesn't have to be done immediately.
No, I mean the tear out.
Oh, the tear out?
The prep work, if they, okay.
Sorry. Yes, I think Troy is counting on that they'll have time for it.
Okay, any other further discussion? Alder Motif?
I was just going to make a motion to approve change order number 1 with Forest Landscaping and Construction for 2024 Street and Utility Improvement Project.
Second. So,
Add a dollar amount to that? Okay. Okay, so do I have to re-say the first part?
No, just in
Okay.
the amount of,
In the amount of $1,225,571.25.
I don't think that's not correct.
50 some.
yeah, the
Did I
change.
mess that up? I really messed that up.
Yeah, it's 51,827.
Thank you. Sorry about that, everybody. The cost is $1,277,000.
51,827.
But don't we want the total project?
No, you're
We're approving-
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm really sorry, guys. Man, the
that's-
change order is $51,827.
I'll still second.
That was embarrassing.
All right, any further discussion? Okay, hearing none, let's have a roll call, please.
Motive.
Aye.
Finkler.
Aye.
Rosted.
Aye.
Relke. Aye. Lawson.
Aye.
5-0. Ayes have it.
Okay, and then next on the agenda is to consider and take action on the 2024 budget amendment.
Just to briefly explain this, the memo indicates a need for a public hearing that would have been scheduled for tonight. As we research this further, this amendment does not require a public hearing, so that's why one was not scheduled. Just to back up a step, with the change in shared revenue formulas for municipalities this year from the state, communities quickly realized that by those changes, they weren't going to qualify for expenditure restraint in most situations. So the state allowed municipalities a year to kind of reset their base. What we're doing here is this increase isn't intended to be spent fully and would require, future direction and votes to approve an expenditure of that size. What this does is resets our base. So each year, we're able to increase very minuscule amounts to continue to qualify for expenditure restraint. So if you look at this at a 15 to 20 years down the road, this is something that future councils and future staff will look back and go, and this was likely, or this was a good idea to help us still continue to qualify for expenditure restraint by increasing our base budget amount. Crystal, if there's anything further on that I missed or you want to clarify, please feel free to do so.
Just if there's any questions from the meeting we had last time.
Okay, Alder Finkler?
I'll move to approve the 2024 budget amendment.
Alder Motif will second.
Okay, a motion by Alder Finkler, a second by Alder Motif to approve the 2024 budget amendment. Any further discussion on this item? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Rostad,
Nay.
Lawson,
Aye.
Finkler,
Aye.
Relke,
Aye.
Motive.
Aye.
4 ayes, 1 nay. Motion carries.
Okay, then next on the agenda is to consider and take action on moving forward with the development agreement between the City of Columbus and Lamps Landing LLC for the development of 1400 Park Avenue.
Alder Motive would like to make a motion to approve the developer's agreement with the one change of Mayor Hammer's title with Lamps Landing.
Alder Rolke will second.
Okay, motion by Alder Motif, a second by Alder Roki. Any further discussion on this?
Roll call, please. Wow, that was hard.
Yeah, and I planned on that also, but thank you, yeah. So I'm just going to ask again, any further discussion? Okay, hearing none, roll call, please.
Motive.
Aye.
Reed is absent. Lawson,
Aye.
Finkler,
Nay.
Rostad,
Nay.
Relke.
Aye.
Okay, thank you very much.
3 ayes, 2 nay.
And then next would be to approve the claims in the amount of $236,201.40.
Alder Motive will make a motion to approve the claims in the amount of $236,201.40. I got it the first time.
Second.
Okay, motion by Alder Motif and a second by Alder Finkler to approve the claims. Any discussion on this? Hearing none, roll call, please.
Finkler,
Aye.
Rostad,
Aye.
Motive,
Aye.
Lawson,
Aye.
Relke.
Aye.
Ayes have it, 5-0.
Okay, and now we have report of city officers, so.
I'm just going to take the opportunity to jump in front of the mayor and probably say the same thing, but really want to extend my thanks to our Public Works crew and Troy Kehoe, as well as our utilities staff and Jacob Holbert on their work at Fireman's Park in remediating the storm damage and working through a lot of complex issues with the DNR. Very impressed with the thoroughness and compliance that we were able to achieve in quick time with that situation. The weather continues to create challenges, both at the wastewater treatment plant and for the utilities. If you've been near the dam, you notice that the water level is extremely high, and we're going to hope for a drier night than we had last night tonight. So that's all I have.
All right, thank you. Yeah, I would like to just reiterate what our city administrator said. It's, the guys have been doing a fantastic job. I talked to Nick Weisensell. He was monitoring the dam all day today, various times, just to keep track of everything. So, yeah, many thanks to the crews. Also, please keep police and fire department in your prayers, because they have gone through a hell of a last month and a half of serious accidents and the murder-suicides that have happened around town. And those guys need our support, they need our prayers, and so please keep them in your thoughts. And then we have 2 positions on the Cable Commission yet to be filled, and 1 position on the Zoning Board of Appeals to be filled yet. And then June is Dairy Month, and Wisconsin is America's dairy land. So please treat yourself to good milk, chocolate milk, butter, cheese, and ice cream. So things that make Wisconsin proud. So, and with that, I would be looking for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, motion by Alder Finkler and a second by Alder Lawson to adjourn. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned.
In that case, I would like to welcome everybody to the Columbus Common Council Committee of the Whole. It is 7:10, and I would like a roll call, please.
Finkler. Here. Hammer.
Here.
Lawson.
Here.
Motive.
Present.
Relke.
Here.
Rostad.
Here.
And Reed is still excused. I acknowledge this meeting was posted and noticed according to law.
Thank you. First item on the agenda is to approve the agenda.
Move to approve.
Alder Motive will second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Okay, hearing none. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. At this time, I will open the floor to citizen comments. Okay. Is there anybody who did not get a chance to sign up who would like to make a comment at this meeting? Oh, go.
Sort of. You were on
Do-
Mondays.
do- Sorry. Just want to, so that everybody can hear you. Yeah.
Paula Steiner, 442 West James Street. I am here for the item with the scout cabin, but someone who is much better equipped is on his way to speak on our behalf, but I was just kind of here regardless. So if you guys get to it, I'm happy to fill in. If not, but he just texted me and he said he's on his way. So that's it.
Thank you. Anybody else? Okay. Included in your packet tonight, you will find committee and commission minutes for cable from 325, PFC from 417, recreation from 48, and CUC from 418. Next item on the agenda is to consider Class A alcohol licenses for licensing period from July 1st of 2024 to June 30th of 2025. And Susan?
Okay, I have listed out all of the received applications for Class A, Class B beer, and cigarette, tobacco, and vaping device that have been received thus far. The only issues I've had, all of them have passed inspection, which is great news. There are no debts, which is also great news. La Latina Mexican Store has not yet replied to any of my contacts. They did pass inspection, but they have not returned any paperwork nor their fees. I reached out to them again today and still have not heard back. So they may potentially be on a special cow for the 18th. Also, I received Walgreens packet finally. They've had some corporate changeover, and I received their packet on Friday, which was after posting, and have not yet received the check. I'm expecting it tomorrow. So they will also have to be on a special committee of the whole meeting on the 18th. The Dollar General store, for general information, is not listed under cigarette, tobacco, and vaping device retail because they are having discussions at corporate level also to decide whether or not they want to continue to do that license. They did turn in successfully their alcohol licenses. So, and if anybody has any questions, I'll be happy to answer. Cardinal Lanes also is obviously not renewing, and Yum Yum Thai Kitchen is not renewing. And I believe that's it.
Are there any questions, comments? Is everybody comfortable moving this one forward for a vote? Okay, thank you. So we kind of just handled 6 through 9 all at once. Next item on the agenda is to discuss the DOT urban boundary map. And Mike, I think that's you.
Thank you. This map, essentially, it's an updated boundary and essentially impacts what areas receive their funding from the state urban pool of money for transportation versus the rural. That's the main thing on it. The resolution just shows your support for approving this, the map that's before you on the screen.
So, how is it that we're able to draw this line outside of city limits? I mean, can no one else claim that same jurisdiction?
I don't have an answer. This is what DOT shared with me. I don't have an answer for that.
Is that something you could look into, for bringing this back either to COW or council?
Sure.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
I think it's important to understand what the DOT is doing here. This is how they classify what is considered an urban area versus a rural area. And just want to make that clear. This is a map that they draw to show eligibility for funding for those various grant programs that they offer and how they fund highway improvement projects. Like, this is highway, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, how they fund different highway projects.
So it's the stuff they pay for.
It determines the eligibility criteria of what's considered a rural road. And so they have different funding programs with lots of fun acronyms that outline, the LRIP is the Rural Improvement Program. And so if you're outside of this yellow line, that means you qualify to submit grants in the rural section. If you're within the line, you qualify for their urban grant program. And so just, it changes the competition level and who you're competing with for that funding.
So is this a request that they made of us?
Yes.
Okay. Are they making the same request of the town of Columbus then? Because some of that area is.
I don't know.
You know, okay.
But I can look into that. I can.
If it requires their approval also, we want to make sure that that happens.
They didn't mention that that was the case. I think if it did require their approval, they would be going directly to the town. And I think this is something that's done on a regular basis by the city of Columbus.
Any further questions? Is everybody comfortable moving this forward with the information that Mike will give us that he finds? Yep, okay, thank you. Next item is discussion on tax increment finance agreement for 146 North Dickinson Boulevard. Mike, that's you again.
Yes. This is essentially a updated TIF agreement. Last year, there was a TIF agreement between the city and Lapnows that has expired. The direction from the council was to look closer at how we could craft an agreement that focused on the commercial building. This agreement does that. It's for the same amount. The other thing, it's a pay-go TIF. The other thing this does is it rewards the completion of the building rather than the creation of the hole in the ground. So there's incentive for the project to get done, and they would not begin getting a payment until the building is complete. There's a cap of $75,000, and the assessment and the whole payment is based on the assessment of the commercial area only. And that's shown in the graphic in the packet.
Anybody have any questions? Okay, is everybody comfortable moving this forward? Yes. Okay, thank you. Next item is discussion on proposal for RIME for additional storage capacity.
So as RIME has been now with us for a month. We're working through some of our storage issues, and I know there's a typo in my memo that I wanted to point out because I copied it from an email from Rhyme, and I requested some clarification from them. I haven't gotten it yet. I will have that by the council meeting. The intent of this is the proposal is a small amount. It's a $612.79 hardware improvement cost, which I can clearly sign off and approve upon. But there is a monthly cost for storage and management that would anticipate being about $13,000 a year for that additional. It's quoted at $1,088.94 per month. But there is some anticipated savings in how we're currently doing our backups. Obviously, this is something that I'm strongly recommending we move forward and get in place. There's been a lot of conversation back and forth between RIME, the police department, city staff who were working through these issues, and this helps us resolve those. I know when I met with the mayor and the council president earlier today, there was some question about whether this even need to go to council based on approval level, but I always err to the side of caution, so.
Does anybody have any questions? Alder Lawson?
The 6 terabytes?
I'm sorry?
6 terabytes, do we have any idea like how long we think that capacity is sufficient? Is it 20 years, 30 years? 5 years?
It's complicated to project out, I think, is the best answer I can give you, just based on we know where we are today versus how technology evolves, how we're changing how, so the arbitrator server is how the body-worn cameras, that's the backup. And so we're changing how they're backed up to an existing solution and adding this to cover other needs for data backup. And so I think because I can't project city staff growth, how we do things in the future, and this is a conversation that also gets complicated by an Office 365 migration that moves us into the cloud and reduces our need for internal storage. So the hope is that this 6 terabytes carries us to the future. But I'm not going to try and pretend to be a data expert and know what the reality of 6 terabytes is.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Mike, did you have your light on because you had a comment or a question? Okay, just checking. Is everybody comfortable moving this forward then? Thank you. Next item on the agenda is discussion of the Boy Scout cabin at Fireman's Park.
I will introduce this. So there was an initial study done, and there may be some members of council that were here when that was initially done. I think the initial study, although thorough, maybe missed a couple of key components in terms of the flooring and roofing. And so that the second study was requested to address specifically those issues. And so while both reports independently may look incomplete when combined, I think they formulate a greater picture of the issues and the overall need. I think that the challenge is how do we move forward? I know the Boy Scouts are interested in assisting with this project, and I think kind of those next steps that I would recommend is to direct staff to work with the Boy Scouts to formulate a plan, and bring back to council once we've got a plan worked out in terms of roles, responsibilities, and process in terms of who's doing the improvements and what review and supervision is included in that.
Alder Motive?
I was pleased to read the report as I feel a little bit safer about the Boy Scouts being in there. I know that when we talked about this previously, we weren't even sure if it was safe for them to be meeting in there. While I appreciate that the Boy Scouts are willing to do the work, I think we need to be very cautious about having them do the work just for liability reasons. Painting and minor things like that, I think are good projects, but any of the repairs, I would like to make sure that we have done by a licensed professional.
Alder Lawson?
If appropriate, can we ask Mr. Steiner if he'd like to speak now?
Actually, I wasn't even addressing him, so
Oh.
someone else.
You're right, on Monday.
You don't want to do that. And I talk a lot. Okay, so what questions do you have?
So I'm curious how the scouts actually use the facility now and how often. I mean, is it regular meetings?
So that's a twofold question, and the people that have never been a part of the scouting program don't totally understand all of the moving elements. The first part is our Cub Scouts. So the Cub Scouts start from kindergarten up to 5th grade. And those scouts they typically met at least twice a month as a den meeting, and then they had their overall meeting once a month. The Boy Scouts, which are going to be your 6th grade to seniors, those guys are meeting at least 3 times a month, and those are typically on Mondays. So hopefully that addresses that.
Someone there pretty much every day.
Yes, it's a very coordinated schedule. Girl Scouts are supposed to have access to it. When my daughter's troop did her bridging, we were able to work with Amy Jo Myers and get keys, and we were able to use that as a Girl Scout troop as well. We just don't consistently meet there because there's only 2 of them, and we can meet at my house.
They also use it for overnights and stuff like that from time to time?
Yep. December was when they do their overnight planning. They use it as a point of reference for when they go on trips. They have storage for all of their camping gear in the storage area as well as above in the attic.
I recall, and Troy, you may recall also years back, there was a group of people that had gotten together and had done a bunch of work on it. So, I mean, was
that like decades ago?
Yeah, probably before
Okay.
you were born, so. But I'm sure that there's contractors out there too that, it's a matter of trying to pull community together and see, who's willing to
Actually,
to help out with things.
the gentleman.
Uriah's here.
Yep. Come on, Mr. Monday. I kept the spot warm for you. Come on. Oh, okay. I'm going to answer. Neighbor.
Hello.
Hi there.
Hi. Would somebody get me up to speed?
Uriah, I talked about that the 2 reports reviewed independently would look incomplete, but when combined, you get a greater picture of what some of the issues are, and that I felt that appropriate next step would be for staff to meet with the scouts and talk through kind of next steps and how to formulate a plan in terms of roles and responsibilities moving forward.
Sure,
And
appreciate that.
The
That's
council brought up
accurate.
some concerns about, and I think they're valid concerns about ensuring that work's done, that there are projects the scouts could likely do, but that there are some things that you're going to want a licensed contractor involved with, and how we structure and look at that, and is there a fundraising component, or, there's a lot of moving parts to this, but I think there's at least now a roadmap of how to get where we need to be.
Yeah, thank you. I'd agree. Regarding your first comment about the 2 together, I do agree that the 2 together do appear to be comprehensive. my brain sort of starts going to the how-tos, but I think I'm getting ahead of myself there. And I agree with you with regard to needing something comprehensive. I think when I was here last time, I talked about having something comprehensive in hand and then also sort of strategizing going forward, particularly with how much things might cost, either in terms of labor hours, volunteer hours, or dollars. So I do think with that document, we're there. I do have I have a couple of questions about a couple gaps in the information, but by and large, I will also say that what it found jives with what I've seen. So kind of, if that's any of a check and balance, then great. With regard to the items on there that I thought would be reachable from a volunteer standpoint, I don't mean height, I mean achievable. A lot of the roof items, the perimeter items, right, talked about the fascia needing replacement, the gutters and things like that, again, things that we've observed. It's good to know that the issues don't run a lot deeper than that. That gives, I think, from a volunteer standpoint, some confidence that people could pitch in a meaningful way without kind of getting in over their heads on things. I think it was good to see that the foundation itself was in good shape. Frankly, when I've gone down into that crawl space, I wasn't looking at the foundation walls, I was looking underneath the floor, right? Because when we walk in and walk on the floor and it sags, that's my focus when I'm underneath there. So I was glad to see that not only got looked at in detail, but that it got a passing grade. That work, I do think, needs probably professionals to do, right? You're talking confined space, you're talking structural detail, things like that, where, maybe, I guess, just thinking out loud, maybe the procurement of materials might be something that volunteers could do or fundraising could be had, but the work itself, both the design work and the physical work, is probably beyond the ability of most groups of volunteers to tackle. The drainage issue, I think that's probably something to talk to staff about. I've got some ideas there, and those are just sort of from my standpoint of the experience there and as a professional. And then I think the one, I won't say glaring gap, that's probably a little too judgmental because I've only read the documents maybe a couple times each, but the how-to of the interface between the very bottom of the superstructure where it meets the foundation is in need of help. And again, this might just be my wanting to understand the how-tos, but I would love to hear from a professional in that kind of business, like how that actually gets rectified, right? That seems like you'd almost have to lift the building to repair, that bearing surface. And I'm very curious on how that's going to work. I'm not going to say it can't be done because there's buildings that get lifted and moved all the time. I'm interested to know how well that will go with a structure like that. So I think out of all the questions, that's probably number one, because if that's very difficult or expensive to do, then I hate to use the phrase lipstick on a pig, but it kind of fits the bill. If that's a very difficult hurdle to overcome, then those other things are maybe not worth tackling. So, all right, I brain dumped. Thank you.
Alder Motive?
So my understanding on the next steps is that staff will meet with the scouts, you'll put together a plan, get costs, and come back with priorities and costs and timeline? All right, thank you.
Any other questions? Is everybody comfortable with that direction to the staff?
I would like them to start with Uriah's suggestion before maybe digging too deep into it and getting maybe an estimate on how much that'll cost, because if if we're not gonna approve the foundation being fixed, I would hate to go through the whole process of divvying up the work.
I agree.
Alder Rosted?
Just to add to that, I'd look into the gutter portion of that with the foundation. If you're gonna stick the money in the foundation and the lack of gutters is causing the foundation issue, let's put it all on one. Doesn't pay to fix the basement if the gutters are still gonna be bad. We'll be in the same boat, just down the road. Yeah, and the grading.
Alder Lawson?
Yeah, I think there's one contradiction I noticed too between the two reports. In one report, it says essentially that the roof is fine, other than gutters. The other report says that the entire roof should be removed and replaced. So, which is accurate, and how do we move forward there? You'll have to figure out.
Any other thoughts, comments, questions, concerns?
I have an observation on the roof issue. So was it the first report that said the roof needed to be replaced, and the second said it was okay?
Yes.
Okay, because I didn't reread the first report. I did read the second report a couple times. I did also notice, so on one hand, first of all, I should say, we shouldn't guess, we should just ask JSD. But I would say that since the second report looked at it in more detail, like they went into the attic there and looked, that's probably a more accurate reflection. However, the second report did say at the end, in the conclusions part, it talked about replacing the roof. And that kind of got me a little cross-eyed too, like, okay, which one is it? But good, thank you for pointing that out.
Any other thoughts, concerns?
Just for your information, Scouts meet every Monday at 7 o'clock. We don't meet the last Monday of the month. So the second to last Monday of the month, we always have a committee meeting, which means leadership is at that meeting. So this month it would be the 17th. I understand that's maybe too early to congregate, and we can always make another time, but, so not that we're roped into those, but just for your information, leadership would be together June 17th, and then also on July 22nd.
I'll reach out and we'll get something scheduled.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is to convene to close session per 19.851E for deliberating or negotiating the purchasing of public properties, the investing of public funds, or conducting other specified public business whenever competitive or bargaining reasons require a closed session, specifically to discuss giving financial assistance to the development of lots 5, 6, and 7 of the Columbus Commerce Center.
So move.
I'll second.
Okay. I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Okay. May I have a roll call, please?
Finkler. Aye. Relke.
Aye.
Lawson.
Aye.
Motive.
Aye.
Hammer.
Aye.
Rostad.
Aye.
We are in closed session.
Okay. We will not be returning to the air tonight. Thank you to everybody. Have a good night.